If there is no sustainability in the specialty movement of coffee, it will not sustain.
If you want to keep on producing the same yield in the conventional agriculture, you have to put more and more inputs every year. So it's not a profitable way.
Bienvenue dans le podcast du Collectif Café spécial Paris Coffee Show 2025. Je suis Marie-Hélène Kennedy, productrice de la scène conférence et je vous embarque pour revivre 3 jours totalement caféinés. Plus de 22 conférences et plus de 70 experts m'ont rejoint sur scène pour faire partager leur passion et leurs convictions. Une immersion dans tout ce qui fait vibrer la scène café de spécialité en France aujourd'hui. Que vous soyez du métier ou juste de passage ici, installez-vous, servez-vous une bonne tasse et on démarre. Un sujet qui s'adresse aux professionnels de la filière, un sujet très important sur la résilience des sols vivants et plus généralement et globalement l'importance des sols dans la production de café et les enjeux. I'm going to switch in English to make sure that everyone here can understand because this roundtable is going to be held only in English. I'm going to pass the floor to Caroline Ginoux, who is the host of this roundtable. And she's going to present you and introduce you to all the speakers.
Bonjour à tous. Hello everyone. I'm Caroline. Very happy to be here today with you guys. Today we're going to talk about living soil. So we're going to do it in English because we are lucky to have here people from far away from here that came to the Paris Coffee Show. So we have Abi from Indonesia, from Adina. We have Sebastian from Colombia, and we have Arnaud from Bordeaux, which is not that far away, but he has also a farm in Ecuador. So what we're going to focus today, it's living soil and the very importance and of the health of the soil in the coffee production. We talk about the quality, the aromas, the quality of the cup, but maybe we have to focus more on the soil, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So Abi from Adina in Indonesia is working today with more than 1,900 producers. Can you tell us in Indonesia, in your terroir, how is the conventional agriculture today? What is the statement and what you can tell us about generally talking the agriculture in Indonesia nowadays?
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for this opportunity. It's quite far away from my home to share what I do, what we do in Indonesia. But to give you all the context of how Indonesia producing the coffee is actually we are 4th or 5th biggest coffee production.
Yes, maybe we can just tell everybody what are the first. Yeah.
All that coffee, it's almost done by the smallholder farmers who own the farms less than 1 hectare. And average 600 kilograms, so small per smallholder farmers, but it's done by 1.5 million smallholder farmers. So it's impacting a lot of different people in different region, in the different altitude as well. Arabica for sure in the highland and Robusta on the lower land. So conventionally, all these coffee productions are done in the same area, whereas the people also planting for banana or jackfruits or cassava and all the staple food for their life every day. So that's the conventional farming of coffee in Indonesia. So we are less using the, I would say, fertilizer, chemical fertilizer or chemical herbicides. Why? Because coffee is a source of cash for the people, and that's not the only commodities they can maintain. So mostly that's the conditions in Indonesia.
So what you were saying that culturally and historically, Indonesia is already a terroir where the generative agriculture is inside your culture.
Yes, you're right, because that's how our the ancient kinds of agriculture, maintaining the soil. You mentioned a really interesting terms about the living soil, because we have so many different language in the local language that have the similarities as a living soil. And there's so many kinds of cultural diffusions to give food to the soil. Let's say maybe if we drink some local spirits in Indonesia, we are not drink it directly, but we pour little bit to the mother soil. We call it like that. So that's a small gesture that might be relevant with this talks later.
Okay, so it's interesting to see how with the conventional agriculture in each of your terroirs, maybe we can switch to the other side of the planet, to Colombia. So Sebastian, you are from a coffee production family for the 4th generation. You also won the AFPA context of being the top one roasted coffee at origin. So maybe we can all give a clap to him.
Thank you.
Congratulations for that. You must be very happy. And I think after this conference, there's something also to
Sure.
congratulate you. So we've been talking about Indonesia. Now we switch to Colombia. Can you give to everybody a statement? How is the conventional agriculture in Indonesia, in Colombia, sorry. And I know it's a huge terroir. You are one of the best producers in the world of coffee.
Thank you. Thank you for this introduction. So yes, I'm Sebastian. There in Colombia, we have signed 5 acres in the region of Huila, Colombia, south of Colombia. And there, it's true that we are being dependent of the fertilizers, herbicide. But what we really live there is that we have a lot of practices that are from our ancestors, that we take all the garbage of our crops and we reutilize it, we revalorize it, and that is really important for us. And in the specific context of Colombia, we have the Andes chain of mountains, and not only the Andes, that the Andes divides on 3 parts. So the geographical context is a real challenge, a big challenge for us. So we have a lot of realities. We have farmers that are really dependent of herbicides and fertilizers, but also if for example, there are zones that are better connected with the city, with the logistic infrastructure, so we can find other farmers that could have better practices. So in our experience, it's gonna depend on how the farmer can learn, can improve his own vision of the world, and how he can, learn all about these practices, but also take in advantage that this is better for is the best thing for his crops. So conventional agriculture in Colombia, let's say that give us a mindset of the only way to create more value, it's producing more. But today that is changing in all Colombia. We are seeing that even from the biggest organization, La Federación Nacional de Cafeteros, to the smallest farmers, we are seeing that the real challenge is producing with harmony with the nature. So I could say that.
Okay, thank you very much. So now Arnaud. So Arnaud is a transition director in Belco and also producer in Ecuador. Can you tell us your statement in general, because you are leading with a lot of terroir from other worlds as a director transition in Belco, but also maybe after focus a little bit, if you want, in Ecuador?
Okay, so maybe I can just tell my own story and my own experience and why I think the only way now is what we call regenerative agriculture. I started growing coffee in the early 2000s, and this plantation, maybe you have already seen this brand, which is Las Tolas Estate in Ecuador. I had to abandon this farm last year because of the climate change and because I wasn't prepared to face the climate change. And 10 years ago, I built another farm in the desert, trying to put all the regenerative practices at work. And I saw the results. And right now, this plantation is Terrazas del Pisque, is working very well. And we managed to reach the balance I wanted to reach at the beginning. At Las Tolas, I used at the beginning, of course, conventional practices. conventional practices. And of course, this depleted the soil fertility. I had to stop the activity more because of the climate change, but because of the loss of fertility of the soil as well. That's why I think we are some legitimate when we are trying to onboard a lot of producers in those practices. And it's easy to understand why there's a huge problem, and the only way is this one is because maybe during the last decades, the demand for coffee has been met by deforestation. And if you see the curve of the consumption and the deforestation is quite the same. And that means that the producer looked for fertility into the wild. And now, because of the norms, but because of the UDR, for example, we can't, the producer won't be able to go into the wild to look for fertility. So we have to regenerate the soils. And that's why I think we are here to speak about the ways to regenerate these soils.
Exactly. Thank you, Arnaud. Actually, we talk about regenerative agriculture. I know that Arnaud doesn't really like this expression. He's more talking about ecologically intensive agriculture. So we understand that conventional agriculture has the limits. There are challenges, climate change challenges, economic challenges for producers. Now I'm going to let you talk about your definition of agriculture, generative agriculture. The definition is or not the same in the different terroirs that you have, because we see that we have terroir from Ecuador, Colombia, and Indonesia. Practices maybe are not the same, challenges are not the same, and maybe the new ways of doing general agriculture or ecological intensive agriculture are not the same also. Can you please, Abby, tell us about your definition of generative agriculture, and what challenge do you face, and how do you see this new agriculture way in the future, short future in Indonesia?
Thank you for this question. Maybe similar, we have talks before this occasion, but I would say in Indonesia, regenerative agriculture, or what they call it maybe as a permaculture, ecological intensive agriculture, and so on, it's somehow already in our kinds of Indonesian DNA farmers. So the way we are working with soil, like I said before, usually it's we respecting it as a living things. So you mentioned a really interesting point about the cycle. In Indonesia, slightly different. We have the sunshine all the year. We have the rainfall up to 3,300 millimeters per year. So means like if you really want to push the soil as a quote-unquote factory, you can do that. That's happened a lot in Indonesia for potato farming. But for the coffee, that's you need the shading trees. Then you can promote more nitrogen cycle. And also you can leave everything to fix itself. And that's what I learned, not from the textbook, but from the practices of the farmers on different regions in Indonesia. So, and you can learn through the different kinds of their agricultural calendar. So usually each culture have their own timing. In Bali, we call it Desa Kalapatra. It means like village. Kala, it's timing. Patra, it's occasion. So you can find like the philosophical thinkings of you can do something on the right timing, but you have to see the occasion. It's also happened not only the agriculture, but also in the every aspects of the culture as well. So if you are asking to me, is it agriculture something new for like the people maybe in the subculture, in a lot of the native culture in Indonesia, it's already embedded in our things. But I would say agriculture, it's really related with the culture itself. And I believe if there is no sustainability in the specialty movement of coffee, it will not sustain. But once again, if there is a question about is it possible to replicate all over the world to what we did in Indonesia, I would say agriculture is really based on the context, but also in the local occasion.
Yeah.
So I will stop there.
So actually, how could you replicate it in Colombia? Is that possible? Or what is been doing in Colombia for these generative agriculture practices?
So in Colombia, there is I like a word that is bocachi. It's how farmers say to biochar, but for years. And only a few years ago, we see that, okay, there is a new tendency of biochar, regenerative agriculture, all this stuff. But at the end, these practices are practices that we have for a lot of years. So it's true that this term, let's say that it's controversial because it's new. But for us, it's only a reactive answer to the problem. So it's more about changing our mindset as producers.
Mm-hmm.
As producers, even our partners in Brazil, they are facing the same thing, that it's not about producing more. It's more about doing better with the resources we have. So I like more in me as a PhD candidate. We do research in frugal innovation, frugal practices with local entrepreneurs, and how they, as producers, then can create value in origin to transform the origin itself. So yes, we can talk about the coffee mucilage, the how we can revalorize the husk, the pulp, how we can extract antioxidants, the pure caffeine of all these garbage that we produce in our farm. So today our approach is more about, yes, taking care of our soils, but also to seeing or having a more holistic vision that how we can fructify or take all the resources we have, including the garbage, including all these things that we produce, and how we can create and co-create high-value products, not only specialty coffee, but other things.
Okay.
Also, for us, and also as a winner of AFPA, one of these approach is roasting in origin, yeah, creating value to the producer, not only selling our coffee as a raw material, but as a finished product.
Yes, Arnaud, maybe also you could give us your definition of a living soil. We talk about the health of the soil. So how is it so important today, and why is very risky to not take care into consideration this living soil?
Yes, I think that we have to try to understand that the main asset into a farm is the soil. It's not what we call the bio asset, which could be the plants. You know, a producer doesn't produce because of the plants, but because of the soil. So he has to care first the soil before choosing varieties or anything with the plants. I don't like the term of regenerative agriculture. I have to answer your
you say ecologically intensive agriculture.
It's just because, you know, right now you can see some certifications which wants to get the terms and make it a business with certification. So I think it's very difficult to define the regenerative agriculture because there is no manual, there is no guide. It's something like Abby said, which comes from nature. You have to try the inspiration. There are a lot of inspirations. There's a lot of old inspiration or former inspiration from the past.
Yeah.
Maybe
so it's a comeback from our
Terrapretas, for example, in the Amazon, where they used to put carbon into the soil and to make the soil fertile, or maybe the milpa in Mexico or in the Central America, which try to mix several plants and to get fertility. And there's a lot of things, of course, we can. But when you are trying to produce in regenerative agriculture, you have to check everything, to observe. And I used to say that now we are not at a stage where we have to invent the things. We just have to discover or to rediscover the things and try to apply what nature teaches us. For example, of course, the nature today, more than the conventional agriculture, is the best tool to produce biomass. So we just have to copy and to try to understand how the nature is doing that, to do it ourselves in our plantations.
I join your opinion because I don't know if you know or somebody in the public. Where do you arrive when you land, when you travel to Colombia? To El Dorado, Aeropuerto El Dorado. That is a specific thing that we are rethinking our identity of all these communities, indigenous communities, that in the past, they live in big civilization. More than 1 million people live in the plateau of Bogota, in harmony with nature, you know? So for us, it's really important what are you saying, because it's really that rediscovering that our nature, going back to our roots.
So, okay, we understand that today the soil, the health of the soil should be the first topic for producer, should be his first consideration. We understand also there are climate change challenges, and the production of Arabica will be decreasing if we don't change our practices. But once we have said that, how do we do it? How producer can do it? The economical limits, maybe you can tell us, Arnaud, what are the limits today for a producer to change his agriculture practice and go to ecologically intensive agriculture? What are the different phases, and what are the risks for him to try to go on a total natural agriculture and forget the pesticide, herbicide that have been used for several years to increase the production of coffee?
Well, in agriculture, there's a lot of risk all the time. In coffee, of course, there's a lot of threats, like the market, the volatility of the market, and the speculation on prices, for example. And of course, we have the climate and the loss of fertility of the soil, which are the main threat, but also the labor force. It's not easy today to get people to just to pick the coffee, to harvest. So, of course, it's very difficult to onboard the producer, but I think you have a very good experience on this. But it's not just a question of remuneration. Of course, in the former conference, they said that we have to pay more the coffee at the origin and everything. But, in Europe, for example, the transition is financed by subsidies. And, of course, I guess that in none of your countries, our countries, we have subsidy to go into the transition. So we have to find other ways. And I think that maybe a way would be to remunerate the ecosystemic services. I mean, the sequestration of carbon. I mean, the beauty of the territory. I mean, the watersheds and everything. Because it's not just the transition is not just to produce a better coffee. It's also to make the environment more livable.
Okay. Would you like maybe to add something you are doing? You are a producer doing your post-harvest for producers in Indonesia. You also have like a position as helping them as trainings or helping them as how to do best practices. What limit do you see in Indonesia? Even if you already said before that in Indonesia we have already ancestral and practices, and it's very inside, deep in the culture. How do you see the challenges for the years coming with the challenges of climate changes? Is there any help in Indonesia for the government that is provided for the producers to go on these new practices? Is there someone that can help them with the investment? How do you see things in Indonesia for the future dealing with this?
Indonesia is quite unique origin, I would say. So maybe not many origin in the world that are the archipelago form. In the archipelago forms means like you have Sumatra Island, you have Java Island, you have Bali, and so on and so on. So and there's a 1.5 million farmers with different idea who can do anything to their farm. But for me, that's the beauty of the Indonesia situation, not only the coffee, but in a lot of things. And I agree even when we already understand that we have some knowledge from the past, but I do agree with Arno as well. We need to rediscover, to understand better in nowadays context. Let me explain you in the real case. There is a one coffee in Lintong area, small areas, that's very interesting because when there is a first specialty coffee from Indonesia, it's come from that area. Starbucks at 2000, in years 2000, buy the coffee for one of their first project in the Starbucks Reserve. That coffee, it's really beautiful, and the people there, didn't put any shading trees at there. Why? Because that's the place where the ancients of super volcanic Toba, the biggest eruptions that Earth ever experienced, it's located in that area. And there's the biggest lake in the Southeast Asia, give the natural evaporation every day. So it's always misty, always raining every day. And in the early 60s, 50s, up to 80s, the farmers there at that area never get the sunshine every day properly because it's always misty during around 1 p.m. every day. So, but it's changing due to the climate change. Mist is not there every day, but the way the people farming, it's still using the way the condition of, we are not talking about 100 years ago, but 20, 30 years ago. I mean, like, we can try to understand better, deeper, but also faster, and need to adapt and to share the knowledge with the farmers that, yes, we understand that you knows a lot about the coffee farming and coffee processing in these situations, but the situation is already changed as well. So I think the external factors about the regenerative farming, it's some things that we need to see. That's the problem as well. Because yes, we can adopt something and take nature as a big part of our coalition, but also we need to see that the pattern is always changing. And I believe it's not only happen for the coffee agriculture, but we can learn from so many things. But yeah, I believe that nature is always give the solution. Plus, very easy example, we have spending a lot of different budget in every big corporation for do the crop survey. But there is one farmers tell me in Flores, if you want to see or predict how good is the coffee productions next year, see from the mango trees this year. If there is a lot of flower, then the coffee will have a good productions. But there is came in the different pattern, and it's swept away everything. So that's the conditions we can learn somehow, but we need to adapt faster in the nowadays situation. So hopefully it's give the new question for all of us here.
Okay, thank you, Abby. Is there, for example, in Colombia, any initiative from the government of the Federation of Coffee to help or pre-finance the producers to go on more generative agriculture practices?
So in Colombia, we have a really strong organization, la Federación Nacional de Cafeteros. Yes, they finance a lot of activities in our farms. For example, even the pesticides, the herbicides, they finance all this stuff. And I will say that even if they finance, we have a lot of economical risk. And for us, or our approach, I will say that it's two big things. It's create value in origin and collaborate. So today we are, as Arnaud said, we are diversifying our revenues, not only selling coffee, but transforming our garbage, transforming also, for example, with solar panels, selling the husk, selling the pulp, and roasting an origin that, in my opinion, is the real short-term solution. But also we are seeing about agrivoltaics and other solutions that could give us more revenues, not all that we cannot depend only on coffee. And also collaborate because it's really important. So we have several collaborations with importers So we can sell our roasted coffee, but also our green coffee. With royalty coffees, we do that. So we can sell our green coffee, but also transform our coffee, roasted coffee, and sell it. Because it's not only collaborate with the different actors, but also with roasters. So how we can share our passion, how we can share our curve of roasted with roasters here in Europe or North America. And for us, that is the real challenge. And we are seeing that the farmers are learning about the market. We as farmers, we are learning, we are traveling, we are visiting, we are understanding the real
market.
needs. So yes.
Okay, is there a lot of producers as you that roast their own coffee in Colombia?
They are trying. I already see several producers that for sure it's like a little activity, really a small activity, really artisanal. But yes, I already see several our neighbors. They have their really simple roasters there. They do their packaging there in their farms in 2,000 meters of altitude. They do all of this.
Okay.
But we also have a phenomenon in Colombia that maybe if I do the comparison here in France, we have a lot of brands of coffee, more than 2,000 brands of coffee. So coffee brands. A little the same here in France. We have a lot of different types of wines. But yes, we are seeing this phenomenon.
Okay, thank you. Now, so you talked about initiative in your own terroir. Arnaud, maybe I'm going to talk to you as a transition director in Belco. You are doing initiative at Origin with the producers that Belco is working with. Can you tell us about the project you've made, which is called Soil of Excellence? How Belco and the producers together had this idea of putting the soil in the front of the crucial issue, we'll say, and explain people what is this project, Soil of Excellence, how is the producers involved in this project, and how is it important for the people consuming the coffee to understand this project, Soil of Excellence.
The idea is to try to show all the efforts of the producers who chose the way of the ecological intensive agriculture to produce and, of course, to promote the coffees and to sell them with the right add value, which can come back to the origin, of course. And it's very important, this kind of value, and we don't want to make it a certification. You know, it's not the way to try to promote the coffees. But now we have to try to go through trust attribute, as I call them. You know, I talk about that, how to try to reduce the steps between the producer and the consumer, and how to make the consumer understand how is important to choose this kind of practices at the origin. And Soil of Excellence is just a way to try to aware the consumer, the roasters, about the challenge of loss of fertility of the soils. You know, it's very strange, but there's a kind of loss of memory from the producer. Maybe an old producer can say you the price maybe 20 years ago, but now if you are asking him how much he was producing 20 years ago, it can't say you, because the loss of fertility is something common right now. And of course, as I said, it's impossible to go into the forest to get the fertility. So you have to regenerate your soil if you want to increase your yields to make it profitable. And Soil of Excellence is just a kind of brand to promote the efforts of the producer for the sustainability of all the chain value.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's an initiative at Origin also to, as you say, promote the forest, and maybe that people that consume the coffee understands that if we don't stimulate, I'll say, or encourage the producers to go through those kind of practices, we won't be able to have a quality and coffee that we have today. Do you want to add something?
Yes, for example, I know one experience in the south of Colombia. It's an organization that works with the government. And for example, when they began to doing the transition to a regenerative agriculture, the crop diminished like the 50% of the production. But this organization buy the coffee as it was the same production for all the years of transition. So, for example, the producers normally they did 20,000 kilos of productions. This organization continues to paying the 20,000 kilos every year until the regenerative agriculture is going to give the same or even more. So that's one example, for example, of this.
If you want to keep on producing the same yield in the conventional agriculture, you have to put more and more inputs every year. And the inflation the cost is quite huge, and so it's not a profitable way. And regarding the loss of productivity, I may affirm that it's just for 2 or 3 years. And last week I was talking with the guys from NGO Reforest Action, and they told me that they already have all the numbers about how it's profitable. It's not just profitable because you will produce the same quantity or more coffee, but because, as Habi said, that you have a lot of other products, not only for sale, but maybe for your own food. Mm-hmm. And
diversity of revenue.
That's sustainability. They could measure that in the average of a gain of profitability, it's just 1.2, at least 3 years from the beginning of the transition start.
So less quantity, but better quality, and also more products to use for the producers' everyday life, and maybe new revenues, you're saying, right? I think we have 3 minutes left.
Caro, and the commitment from the other side of the chain value. Yes. It's very important for the producer to know that somebody, client, a customer, which is at least a partner, will keep on buying the coffee in the long term. It's very important to understand that, because it's a kind of the producer feels more confident with the choice of the transition.
Okay, so you're saying that the soil, the importance of the soil have to be really understood by all the chain value of the coffee, from the producer to the source or importer, to the roasters and the final consumers, right?
Yeah.
You wanted to add something.
I will finish only in saying that I believe we believe in Café Esencia, that it's the real goal that all the actors have. It's transforming the industry in a more viable and sustainable one. So
that's a very nice conclusion. Thank you so much. Thank you, Abby. Thank you, Sébastien. Thank you, Arnaud, for this very interesting talk about the living soil and the importance to have a focus on the health of the soils in all the value chain of the specialty coffee and the coffee in general. So thank you very much, and thank you, everybody.
Et bien voilà, l'épisode est terminé. J'espère qu'il vous a plu. N'hésitez pas à écouter les autres podcasts de ces 3 jours caféinés. Et sinon, on se donne rendez-vous en septembre pour le prochain Paris Coffee Show. En attendant, si vous voulez rester au courant des dernières actualités du café de spécialité en France, abonnez-vous au compte du Collectif Café et du Paris Coffee Show sur vos réseaux sociaux.